JDM sludge, boys. Good afternoon, YouTube. Today, we tear apart the B20s. So, a good friend of mine works at a local JDM importer shop, and these are 3 motors that came over in a container that were supposedly bad. I got them for real cheap, so we're going to tear them apart today, and we're going to see what parts we can salvage, and hopefully we'll keep the extra blocks and rods and cranks and pistons, so when we break stuff in the DA, we'll have extra parts, and let's get to it. So 2 of these B20s are supposed to be high compression. One of them is supposed to be low compression, like the one in the DA. Automatic. These 2, I believe, were manual or automatic motors. Don't really know. Wasn't really given too much information. The first thing I'm going to pull off on all 3 is the valve covers. Then I'm going to do the intake manifolds. This one has a header on it. I'll do that. I'll pull off the motor mount brackets, the alternators, the water neck, and then we'll get to actually taking the motors apart. So the next step is getting the intake manifold off. These are all 12 millimeter. You have to take those out. Here, behind the rail. I already started taking them out on this one. Doing them in a little bolt box. Let's get them off. So now we have all 3 motors at the same stage. All the accessories are off. Intake manifold, power steering, alternator. Here's a pile of stuff. There's the pile of bolts we have curd already. There's 3 alternators, dizzy. 3 intake manifolds. This one was running real bad. That one was running pretty bad. And that one's running pretty bad. It's not a good sign for these 3 motors. Looks like somebody cleaned this one out. There's a little rust on the cams. This one looks like it might have been running. And this one is beautifully sludged up. Now let's get all the cam caps off and the cams out of these motors, and then we'll get the heads off. These are all, I believe, 12 millimeter or 10 millimeter bolts. Let me check right now. 10 millimeter bolts. So let's get the cams out of all these motors, and then we'll pull the heads off. So electric impact, 10 millimeter. And got all the head bolts out. This thing is mighty nasty. Flip the head over. Oh, look at that. Right there's probably why it was running bad. Looks like we have another toasted exhaust valve. So we got the 3rd motor torn all down to the short block. Took the drain plug out because I don't want to spill oil all over the floor. And yeah, has water in it. Looks like it has little medical particles, so I'm guessing we're going to be looking at some bearings when we take this oil pan off. But I'm going to do this to all 3 of the other short blocks. Got them all torn down. Got the heads all laid out over here. This one looks like it was actually running pretty good. The head bolts were finger tight in that one. This one looks like it was running good on maybe 1 cylinder. And this one looks like it was running decent. You know, valves are pretty clean, but guarantee you with that sludge, it had horrible maintenance. The 4th head, crystal clean, and that's the one with the burnt valves. Clean set of cams. I could clean those up. Those are rusty. Those are pretty clean. So I still have my P8R head over here. I'm gonna measure the cams, make sure everything is exactly the same. Have now 4 sets or 5 sets of everything for the heads. I'm going to tear the short blocks apart shortly and see what we have for spares. Valve cover, got another valve cover up there. So now we have 4 valve covers plus the one on the car. Got OEM header, power steering pump, all the plastics, a half shaft, 3 alternators, and 3 full B20 intake manifolds. I'm kind of undecided if I want to try one of these with a ported 70mm throttle body and see what kind of torque we can get, because I know long runner manifolds make for great mid-range, and a B20 with some nitrous with some good mid-range will be nasty from a dig. So I might try that theory out a little later. I have my LS intake manifold. I also wanted to try the Edelbrock and the I think it's Skunk 2, just to see if there's any difference. Still a little intake shootout or something later on. Looks like she's done draining. Nothing more is coming out. Buy a JDM motor, they said. If any of the video is a little blurry, it's because my hands are all dirty, the camera's dirty. But hope you guys enjoy the B20 teardowns. Like I said, we got 3 of them extra now, so if anything breaks, we should have at least a good 2 or 3 extra sets of rods, a couple extra sets of pistons, 2 or 3 extra good cranks, and the blocks. So, you know, if we throw a rod out the side of a block on, say, a 150 shot at the track, not really too concerned about it. Throw another block together, I'll have an extra set of everything. And like I also said, I do want to try out the B20 intake manifold, LS intake manifold, like the OBD1 and the OBD-O. I might also get like a Edelbrock short runner for like the turbo setup, and then I might try to get like a Skunk 2 non-V. If any of you know where I can find those for cheap, once I get the DA done and together with the high comp pistons and the cams and everything with the P8R head, I do want to kind of do intake shootouts or like header builds or header shootouts, you know, stuff like that, just to keep good content going. I know a lot of people have tested it with VTEC motors, but there's not too many shootouts with a non-V motor that I've seen. On the H22s, they do a velocity stack out the hood. It's kind of like a B20 intake style, but they use a center feed and they go like 80mm throttle bodies, and then they put like a 4-inch V stack out the hood. I also wanted to try that because, you know, when the car's going on the track at say 100 miles an hour, there's that much wind pressure against the front of the velocity stack, so you can create a lot of positive pressure into the intake manifold, kind of like having boost without having boost. I've seen it done on many cars. I think Jay West with a stock block H23 had that set up and went 1040s or 1060s or something like that on a stock block H, just a built head. So, you know, if we have a P8R with a head with ports and, you know, everything we can do to it with compression, you know, we should, you know, be able to get some pretty good numbers out of it. Like I said, I do want to do a shootout. I want to see what manifolds do what. Get a good like 12-to-1 compression B20 together. Like I said, I'm not shooting for anything crazy, like 170 horsepower, I'll be happy with. I really like mid-range torque, and I know B20s don't rev high because the stroke is so long for how short the block is. So if we can make crazy mid-range power, so when the nitrous hits, we have, you know, amazing amount of torque. I'm thinking like 280 torque, 270 torque. You know, the DA is going to be, you know, 1,800 pounds. I did get the YNS lexan. It's right here in the package. We will be installing it in a video soon. There's no time frame on it. I'm not really in a rush. Like I said, it's super hot outside, so I don't want to be, you know, beating up on the car for no reason. I do have a clutch for it. Everything's here. You saw the video with the brakes. You saw the video with the header. I haven't weighed the car since I took the rest of the front out of the bumper and did the hood exit, so I really don't know how much it weighs right now. I know it's lighter than it was before. So, you know, we'll have to do that in another video and see what exactly we're at. But for now, hope you enjoyed the content. Thank you for liking and subscribing. I think we hit 550 subscribers the other day. Thank you for Sptuning, Pablo for those shout outs. Thank you to the Boosted Boys for revving us on their channel. Thank you for Honda Vlogs. I'm pretty sure Young Static shouted out Sptuning in another video. And as always, thank you guys the most. Like and subscribe, press the bell icon. I'm really into DIYs and tearing motors down and rebuilding stuff and learning things. I know a lot of the Honda channels aren't really about that. They're kind of more of like show-off type channels. They're just trying to show off stuff they do. I'm more of an educational type of person. I like to learn. I never had B20s before, so what did I do? I went and got 3 of them. The only way to learn, take them apart, see what works, see what doesn't work. If you break stuff, have extras. Not that complicated. I like playing with bearing clearances and all kinds of crazy stuff. I might do videos on that. It just depends. And for all of those asking, that's my direct port nitrous setup. I do have a half cage little roll hoop over here. So in case we get told with the DA we have to run a half cage, we will. And like I said, like and subscribe. Thank you for following. Everybody have a great day. Enjoy the heat if you're in Florida. If you're not in Florida, God bless you.